A new round of demonstrations across the West Coast calling attention to the war between Israel and Hamas. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. The groups gathering to protest have very different perspectives on what's unfolding right now in the Middle East. In Oakland today, crowds tried to stop a ship they believe would be delivering weapons to Israel, while in Phoenix, a pro-Israel crowd is gathering tonight at the Arizona State Capitol. We begin tonight in Arizona. Governor Katie Hobbs joined demonstrators who surrounded empty tables. Those tables were left empty in honor of the more than 200 people who've been kidnapped by Hamas. Paradise Valley Mayor Jerry Bien-Wilner was also in the crowd.
It's horrific. It reminds me of 9/11 all over again. Just the brutality and the terrorism. I think many of us aren't able to process that. And then the cascading events that Hamas brought about through its terror attacks, and the right of a people to have to defend themselves. You know, this is a time to keep our heads high and to fight for what's right and what we believe in, which is dignity, humanity, and peace.
And protesters converged on the port of Oakland earlier today, focusing on one ship in particular they believe will eventually be used to send military equipment to Israel. About 200 pro-Palestinian demonstrators walked into the port, and some of them climbed up onto the U.S. Ready Reserve Fleet military ship. Another 200 or so protesters gathered at the gate after port security closed it down. The demonstrators said it was a peaceful protest to show solidarity with the Palestinian people in Gaza.
We know that this vessel is headed towards Tacoma, Washington, where it will be then getting the equipment that it will be taking to, the military equipment it will be taking to apartheid Israel and aid in the genocide of the people of Gaza.
A handful of protesters were able to breach that security fence today. We're told 3 of those demonstrators have been detained by the Coast Guard. A Southern California man is worried tonight about his parents who are stuck in Gaza. Louis El Basyouni says he is constantly checking his phone to see whether his parents' names show up on a list of people who have made it out of the region. His parents were visiting their birthplace in Gaza when the war started.
My dad is really old. He's 75 years old, and he has blood pressure and heart condition, and I mean, it's just like it's scaring me a lot, I mean, I have no idea how they're going to be able to leave Gaza City.
Meantime, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass says a city employee has made it out of Gaza safely. She expects that he will be back on a flight to Los Angeles soon. The State Department says approximately 400 American citizens are still trapped in Gaza right now. Israeli forces hit an ambulance outside of a hospital in Gaza. A Gaza Health Ministry spokesperson says a number of people were killed or injured. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Tel Aviv today. He says it's important that Palestinian citizens are protected from the violence of war. This is his 3rd visit to the region since the Israel-Hamas war began last month.
We've been clear that as Israel conducts its campaign to defeat Hamas, how it does so matters. It matters because it's the right and lawful thing to do. It matters because failure to do so plays into the hands of Hamas and other terror groups.
The Israeli army now completely encircles Gaza City. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's ruling out a temporary ceasefire in the Gaza Strip until hostages held by Hamas are released. And to stay on top of West Coast reaction to the war, check out our website. It is westcoastwrap.com. Video obtained by TMZ shows the driver of a Porsche going nearly 100 miles per hour before losing control of the car. This crash in Bellevue, Washington, killed the passenger inside that Porsche. Tonight, authorities are searching for the driver of that car, who they believe may have already left the country. Fox 13's Nikki Torres spoke to investigators who say the woman took off after being questioned about the crash.
This crash happened more than a month ago now, but still you can see those skid marks on the roadway. On the corner down there, there are flowers rested for the man who died. The woman who is responsible is believed to be on another continent. Footage of the Porsche right before it crashed looks like something straight out of an action film. You can see a white car zipping through 112th Avenue southeast in Bellevue. The driver maintains lane position until it starts to curve towards the SR 520 Clover entrance. The car skids on its side at least 300 feet. clips the concrete wall, flies over the pond by the freeway entrance, and tumbles into the brush. This is the car upon landing. The driver, 26-year-old Ting Ye, was in a 2020 Porsche 911. Ye's passenger, 27-year-old Yabao Liu, died in the front seat.
But the speed limit there's 35 miles an hour.
Police say they believe Ye was driving almost 100 miles per hour. When paramedics got Ye out of the car, crews smelled alcohol on her. They then took her to Harborview Medical Center for treatment.
Our expectation, as we were told from the hospital, was that she would be there for several days, and that's why we didn't have an officer there with her.
Bellevue police went back a few days later to talk to Ye, but she declined. And officers worked with the King County Prosecutor's Office to file a warrant for her arrest.
While that was in process, she left Harborview Hospital and contacted an acquaintance who drove her to Vancouver, Canada, and then she unfortunately caught a flight to China.
It's unclear how Ye left Harborview. Bellevue police say they are working with federal authorities to get her back in Washington and face the consequences of her deadly 3 a.m. outing.
This matter is never going to go away. We're in contact with our embassy in Beijing. We're looking at other alternatives for prosecution.
It is highly unlikely that Chinese authorities would turn over Ye here to police. The reason being, China does not have an extradition treaty with the United States. In Bellevue, I'm Nikki Torres, Fox 13 News.
A toddler in Las Vegas is in critical condition tonight after shooting themselves at a daycare. And police believe the child picked up that gun after it was dropped by a teenager who was trying to get away from the scene of another shooting. Authorities say the teen dropped the gun after jumping a wall at that daycare, and they believe the teen was trying to get away from the scene of a shooting that happened on board a bus.
Juvenile suspect that we apprehended is going to be booked into the Juvenile Detention Center, and we are consulting with the DA on all applicable charges, as well as considering charging that individual as an adult.
The person who was shot on that bus is recovering tonight. Investigators have not offered any specifics about their condition. People forced from their homes because of a wildfire in Southern California are now returning home, some of them finding damage to their properties. Authorities have lifted the evacuation order for the Highland Fire that started earlier this week near the community of Awanga in Riverside County. Crews are making progress on this fire with containment now up to 50% tonight. Nearly 2,500 acres have burned, and the fire has damaged at least 3 homes and 13 other buildings in that area. A wildfire is burning in Oahu tonight, and it's now moving away from populated areas. The fire started Monday, and fire officials say more than 1,100 acres of brush have burned. So far, though, no homes are threatened by the flames, and no evacuation orders have been issued. Still, after those deadly wildfires tore through West Maui back in August, people across Hawaii are on edge.
What it concerns me the most is that I don't see like an urgency. I mean, I can sleep well at night.
Authorities say that fire is 30% contained. Helicopters are dropping water to bring the flames under control, but fire officials say the remote location of the fire is still a big challenge. Up next tonight, a lot of people's Friday paychecks didn't come through. Coming up on West Coast Wrap, how an issue at several major banks has left customers across the West waiting for those direct deposits. Also, canals at Las Vegas's Venetian Casino running dry. We'll break down why the resort has agreed to get rid of one of its most famous attractions, at least temporarily.
And in weather, weekend is almost here. We're tracking a storm that will continue to impact the Pacific Northwest, especially for this location up towards Seattle. But what about the rest of the West Coast? We'll have the update coming up after the break.
Some people's paychecks will be delayed as a banking system issue reported by the Federal Reserve is affecting electronic funds transfers. Customers across Bank of America, Chase, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo, and others are reporting deposit issues on social media. The Fed has specified that the processing issue is with the EPN, and that is a private sector operator. President Biden hopes a meeting with leaders from Latin America will put the countries on a path toward addressing migration issues, as well as an influx of asylum seekers at the U.S.-Mexico border. He met with the leaders of 10 countries at the White House today. Many of those leaders see migrants traveling through their countries headed for the U.S. President Biden says it's important to improve economic opportunities for countries hosting migrants to curb the flow of people crossing the southern border.
Working together to stabilize migrant populations, including making sure the communities that are welcoming migrants and refugees can afford to welcome them and afford to care for them.
That same group of world leaders intends to meet every 2 years to discuss issues including migration and trade. Matthew Perry carrying on his mission to help people suffering from addiction even after his death. Those closest to the Friends star are launching the Matthew Perry Foundation to help people overcome substance abuse issues. This comes nearly a week after Perry was found dead in a jacuzzi at his home in L.A. Earlier, we spoke with TMZ's Michael Babcock, who says Perry had planned to create this organization months before his sudden death.
Something that he obviously cared so deeply about, and again, in the weeks leading up to his death, something that he was in talks about launching, and for them to do it, even though he's not here anymore, is, you got to imagine it's something that would have, brought him tremendous satisfaction.
Perry has said, quote, "When I die, I don't want friends to be the first thing that's mentioned. I want helping others to be the first thing that's mentioned, and I'm going to live the rest of my life proving that." A big crowd turned out in Oakland today to honor the iconic rapper Tupac Shakur. Friends, family, and hip-hop royalty helped celebrate the renaming of a stretch of MacArthur Boulevard Tupac Shakur Way. Shakur moved to that neighborhood near Lake Merritt in the late 1980s. His family says he was greatly inspired by Oakland's black culture and history. Since his murder over 25 years ago, his influence has only grown.
Pac was more than just a rapper. He was more than a musician. He was a cultural figure. The things that he was trying to say and impress upon people that were important about taking care of the community, it resonated, and that's why he still got the love today.
Along with those street signs, there will be commemorative plaques put up in the area to honor Shakur. People across Washington are preparing for even more wet weather coming up this weekend after several storms over the past couple of days, and they did quite a bit of damage. As you can see, strong winds brought down tree limbs in the Seattle and Bellevue areas. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who is tracking conditions in the Pacific Northwest and all across the West Coast. A lot of folks could expect some rain, Mark. Yeah, that's the forecast, Alex. In fact, you see the main reason why this intense storm offshore. In fact, you see that defined area of low pressure wrapping around itself, enhanced cloud cover. It's all going along with the jet stream as well. So here's the jet stream racing across the Pacific. You'll notice the focus is up in the Pacific Northwest, so they do have some rain, obviously, in their forecast. We're taking a look here at some of the expectations through the weekend, and not only the rainfall, but we also have some stronger winds, especially near the immediate coastline. So it will be a stormy at least Saturday morning, and then maybe conditions could improve during the afternoon hours. This was the scene today in Seattle. Lots of cloud cover, temperatures only in the upper 50s. And San Francisco, a little bit of some smoke and some haze from a controlled burn up in portions of Marin County up in the North Bay, but overall a few high clouds. Another very warm day, temperatures in the 70s. And then out toward Denver, it looks like a nice day as well. Temperatures in the upper 60s with partly cloudy skies. So here's that strong storm, rainfall likely coming on board, increasing for tonight into Saturday morning for both Seattle and in Portland. 70s for San Francisco, and then some warm conditions for Southern California, also out toward Denver. It looks like partly sunny skies, 80s out toward Phoenix, I meant, and then some partly sunny skies out toward Denver. So here's the forecast once again, showing you all the cloud cover and all the green showing up on the radar here, but dry conditions for a good portion of the West Coast. Current numbers out there, it is 49 degrees in Denver right now. Seattle's 57, San Francisco 69, and Los Angeles in the mid-60s currently. 65 degrees. Forecast model clearly picking up on that well-defined storm for tonight. So rainfall will intensify throughout the evening hours and into early Saturday morning for Medford, approaching Seattle as well. And then those rain showers will continue off and on the Saturday afternoon. You'll notice that front begins to move into Northern California. So some rain up toward Eureka, and the chances of a few showers closer to San Francisco will be dry down in Southern California. And that'll be the case into the weekend as well. In fact, we might bump up those shower chances
for a Sunday closer to San Francisco. So here's the plan for the weekend and into early next week. Seattle, there's that rain cloud for tomorrow. San Francisco, a sun cloud mix, so shower chances going up into Sunday. It's a nice weekend in Southern California, just a few clouds. It's warm once again out toward Phoenix and Denver. We'll just have a sun cloud mix. So one storm to talk about, Alex, as you can see, the main focus is up in the Pacific Northwest. We'll have to keep an eye on those storm reports over the coming days.
All right, yeah, it's going to be a wet weekend for a lot of folks. Mark, thank you. In Northern California, a man was attacked and injured by otters while swimming in a Sierra Nevada lake. And now he's calling on Fish and Wildlife authorities to prevent more dangerous attacks like this one. KCRA reporter Orko Manna has details tonight from Serene Lakes.
It is by far the most terrifying experience I've ever had in my life. Nothing even comes close to it.
Attacked by otters. Matt Leffers has been swimming in Serene Lakes for 30 years, but nothing could have prepared him for what happened in the water on September 3rd.
I was about 100 to 120 feet out right there.
That's when Matt felt something bite his leg.
And within a seconds, I was bit again. And then I started swimming fast, but the otter popped up right in front of me. And then I was bit again.
Matt says 2 otters viciously attacked him. His wife eventually used a paddleboard to get him to shore and took him to the hospital, but the damage was done. Photos showing the bloody aftermath. Matt says the otters bit him at least a dozen times and left him with 40 puncture wounds.
These things were so aggressive. They literally, I felt like they wanted to kill me.
But this is not the first time this has happened. KCRA3 has confirmed that otters also attacked someone at Serene Lakes in July.
I think the fact that I'm the second person attacked here this summer, it's a big red flag.
The California Department of Fish and Wildlife tells us they're aware of the otter issue here at Serene Lakes and other bodies of water, but they say there's not much they can do.
Nature is not a theme park, right? I mean, there are real risks that you have to be mindful of.
Fish and wildlife officials say river otter attacks on people are very rare, but add that they are a predator species.
They won't normally attack people or larger animals. However, they will defend their territory if they feel threatened.
That includes threats to their hunting grounds. KCRA3 obtained a letter Fish and Wildlife sent to the Serene Lakes community in late September, saying the abundance of fish in the lake is a likely cause for otter presence and behavior. So what's the solution? Officials are asking residents to limit fish stocking in the non-swimming section of the lake.
That's wimpy.
Matt wants the otters to be removed. With his attack wounds healing but still visible, he says Fish and Wildlife can and should do more.
They need to mitigate the situation before somebody gets killed.
Reporting from Serene Lakes, Orko Manna, KCRA3 News.
Coming up tonight on West Coast Wrap, the famous canal at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas drained. What this has to do with the upcoming Formula One races and where all that water went. Plus, more people on the autism spectrum are getting behind the wheel. How AI is making it easier for them to learn to drive. The Venetian Hotel on the Las Vegas Strip has drained all the water from its gondola canal attraction. It's preparing to build an invite-only viewing platform for the Formula One Grand Prix happening in just 2 weeks. The expected platform will go above the canal for people to view the race running between November 16th and the 18th. Although the water initially came from the Colorado River, Water District authorities say it was treated at a reclamation center and it will soon be pumped back into Lake Mead. 3 major airlines have plans they're hoping will prevent some of the travel disruptions that we saw during the holiday season last year. American, Southwest, and United have announced plans to expand their flight schedules over the next few months. FlightAware's Kathleen Bangs says the expanded schedules are more in line with options travelers had before the pandemic.
We often see airlines increase their schedules for the big holiday season and for summer. And actually, we're kind of getting back to where we were before, because last year, the airlines actually pared back their schedules, and the year before multiple times.
Researchers with Deloitte say 48% of Americans are planning to travel over this holiday season. Some people on the spectrum are crediting artificial intelligence with helping them become more comfortable learning how to drive. Fox 5's Alani Latang shows us how they're taking advantage of one driver training program at San Diego State University.
We don't want any sector of our population to not have those opportunities to keep enhancing themselves.
Artificial intelligence is helping people with autism learn to drive before hitting the road.
Everyone will do phase 2, the rural driving.
The National Science Foundation gave a grant to San Diego State University and Vanderbilt University to create the AI driver training program. Dr. Mary Baker Erickson is a research professor at SDSU. She says studies show nationwide less than 30% of people with autism seek a driver's license. She says this means fewer are working.
It was about this uncertainty of could they do it? And sometimes down, fear, an actual fear of approaching a driving scenario.
The program runs for 8 weeks. It aims to build confidence, help with focus and emotional control. The lessons combine virtual reality with coursework.
They'll learn in a group environment. It is a curriculum of where they're learning information, but also practicing skills through activities.
After the classroom work, the students head to the simulators.
I am on my way to the bakery.
Isabel Miller and Juliet Meehan are teaching assistants.
We have our wheel here, as you can see. We have our 2 foot pedals down here.
Students use the driving simulator with or without the virtual reality goggles. Students are assigned different tasks like braking, accelerating, before being sent on trips.
Make a right turn ahead.
So I'll just be looking at the participant and like how they're driving, double checking the 1 foot versus 2 feet.
Okay, we can do this. I took the simulator for a test drive. Let's go. It feels just like driving on the road, but the controls can be a little more sensitive. The AI tells you when you've made a mistake, like going over the speed limit. Then the assistants will talk through the mistakes with students. Okay. Speed limit.
Posted speed limit, yeah.
The students can start the AI program at the California mandatory age for driver's education at 15 years old, but they must complete DMV requirements for a permit or a license. Dr. Baker Erickson says the AI program has already boosted driving interest among people with autism.
Make a left turn ahead.
And the confidence of putting themselves on the next trajectory of going towards that driver's license, doing the behind the wheel driver's training.
And that was Fox 5's Alani Latang reporting tonight. About 40% of students who went through pilot testing of the AI course at San Diego State eventually obtained a driver's permit or a license. And a reminder before we go tonight, clocks are set to fall back to standard time this Sunday at 2 a.m. The change means more sunshine in the morning and the sun setting earlier. But remember, people in Hawaii and most of Arizona don't reset their clocks. They follow standard time year round. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. Have a great night and a great weekend.